respected Dadiji, dear brothers and sisters, Shri Narayananji, I share your sense of joy on this 60th anniversary of the great organization of fellowship, friendship, peace, love, tolerance, the values which characterize this great organization. This is the year in which we are celebrating our country's independence, 50th anniversary. Long before India became independent, Gandhiji had stated that India's independence and freedom struggle would remain incomplete unless we have the power to wipe out tears from the eyes of each and every Indian. Much has been done in the last 50 years to wipe out tears, to remove poverty, ignorance and disease from this country. But a lot more remains to be done. There are still millions of people who suffer from the acute pangs of poverty. There are still millions of our children who should be in their schools, but they are not in their schools. There are still many of our children who die in their infancy when they have a right to live a life of dignity and self-respect. So, our task is far from complete. We have to work hard to create a new India free from the fear of war, want and exploitation. 5.5 years ago, a process was set in motion of liberating the human spirit of creativity, of adventure and enterprise, which exists in abundance in our country and our countrymen, but somehow remained suppressed. So we have released the creative energies of the Indian people so that we can create more wealth. It is only through the creation of more wealth that we can remove poverty from our country. It is only by creating more wealth that we can ensure decent education, decent health care for all the citizens of this country. But an economy is not an end in itself. As the ancient scriptures have always told us, a human being is a trinity consisting of body, mind and spirit. So if India has to produce harmonious personalities, citizens who are integrated personalities, then we have to ensure that the process of wealth creation is imbued with respect for fundamental human values of commitment to honesty, to integrity, compassion, and regard for a spirit of human solidarity, together with commitment to efficiency and excellence. It is only then that our country can attain its rightful place in the comity of nations. 300 years ago, in the West came Renaissance and Enlightenment. The idea of unlimited progress was born. Progress through the logic and the application of the rule of reason. But it is now recognized that while science and technology have opened up new vistas of opportunities for the development of human personalities, science without spirituality cannot bring about a harmonious blend which is necessary to create a truly integrated society. And as I look back, it is all there in our ancient scriptures. One doesn't have to go beyond the Gita to recognize the great importance of Dharma, of doing one's duty without fear or favor, as the guiding principle for all men and women in professions. We need industrialists who will produce wealth, but who will be mindful of protecting the interest of their workers, mindful of protecting the interest of consumers, mindful of not harming the environment. And same way, we need traders who will create wealth through trading, but will not forget the role of honesty and integrity in commercial transactions. We need politicians who will not treat politics as merely a ticket for power, as an instrument of self-aggrandizement, but as a social necessity to mediate effectively between societal conflicts which are built into the body politic of a poor country trying to modernize itself. We need farmers who will use Mother Earth's great potential to produce more and in the process create more wealth for the benefit of entire citizens. So in all these, the importance of Dharma or devotion to duty. It is Gita which tells us that with rights there are obligations, duties. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. Not by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Then again, perform your duty, for action is better than inaction. A man cannot even maintain his physical being without work. And then, in the same way, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. And as for action, that action, as the Gita says, in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results, is called action in the mode of karma. So, if India's social, economic progress is to be assured in all walks of our life, whether we belong to the realm of managers, entrepreneurs, chartered accountants, civil servants, or politicians, devotion to duty, the law of Dharma, is absolutely essential to produce men and women with integrated personalities which this country needs. In the same way, duty implies concern with one's fellow citizens. And I can do no better than quote Gandhiji on this subject, who once said, "If you ever feel dejected, I will give you a talisman. Whenever you are in doubt, or when the self becomes too much with you, apply the following test. Recall the face of the poorest and the weakest man whom you may have seen, and ask yourself, if the step you contemplate is going to be of any use to him? Will he gain anything by it? Will it restore to him a control over his own life and destiny? In other words, will it lead to Swaraj for the hungry and spiritually starving millions? Then you will find your doubt and your melting away. Together with this, we have to recognize that we live in a country of great diversity. India's diversity defines it, but India's diversity does not have to divide the Indian people on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion. In the same way, we have to recognize, as our ancient scriptures recognized centuries ago, that the whole universe is one family. And the world today is interdependent as never before. No nation can solve its problems in isolation. The world peace can be ensured only if the mindsets of all people all over the world are in conformity with the recognition of the spirit of interdependence and the spirit of tolerance and love. I recall in one of the books, our former President Dr. Radhakrishnan quotes a poet as reflecting the needs of our time of living in a world characterized by harmony, tolerance. There is so much good, he said, in the worst of us, so much bad in the best of us, that it ill behoves any of us to find fault with the rest of us. We need tolerance, but I would go beyond that. Tolerance is not good enough. Recognition of differences is not good enough. We must celebrate diversity, because it is only through respect for pluralism, cultural, linguistic, economic, political pluralism, that the world of tomorrow will find meaningful solution to the problem of managing the complexities of diversity. In the same way, we need governments, because without governments, we cannot deal with the many problems of our society. But what is government about? What is good governance? And those who are charged with the processes of governance, what is their dharma? And here too, I can do no better than quote from a letter that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru wrote to chief ministers in 1952, and I quote, "The governance of a country does not merely consist in issuing orders from some high office, but rather in reaching the minds and hearts of masses of people, of bringing about satisfactory human relations. Ultimately, every problem can be resolved into one of human relations, the relationships of one individual with another, of an individual with a group, and of one group with another. We are apt to forget this, living in the ivory tower of government offices and dealing impersonally with files and papers. But behind these files and papers and the problems discussed in them lie human beings. So therefore, those who are charged with the responsibility of governing this vast, complex countries, they must not forget that behind the files and all their paperwork lie human beings whose welfare it is their primary responsibility. Modern governance requires firm ethical governance. And the world being very complex, we do need leaders. What kind of leaders? The world today requires enlightened responses to the many challenges it faces, and to that end, it needs credible and sustained leadership, a leadership that is proactive and not simply reactive. that is inspired, not simply functional, that looks to the longer term and future generations for whom the present is held in sacred trust. Leaders made strong by ethical values and revealed by political courage and spiritual courage that looks beyond the next election. These, ladies and gentlemen, are the imperatives to convert the dreams of the founding fathers of our republic into reality. As we celebrate the 50th anniversary of India's independence, much will depend on the future of this country. How do the professional classes, whether they are in the world of politics, civil service, industry, trade, professions, chartered accountants, tax consultant, what is their mindset? Are they motivated by the narrow pursuit of self-interest, or are they sustained by ethical values of the type that are enshrined in India's sacred scriptures, or the values that the movement that the Brahma Kuamris represent stands for? That is a great challenge, but that also is a great opportunity for us, as I said, to build a new India free from the fear of want and exploitation, an India at peace with itself, and an India which contributes in a mighty manner to the preservation of international goodwill, understanding and peace. Thank you very much.